Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live for the 2024 Genesis Invitational at vaunted, historic, prestigious Riviera Country Club in the heart of Los Angeles. Tiger's back. It's a signature event. Only 70 guys got invited to play here. I hope you're ready because we're betting big. We're betting aggressive. We're going absolutely bonkers on In Between Media. Like, subscribe, jingle the bell for notifications. Let's hit it. That's right. We're back. Let's fucking go. Seth, our fearless leader. Cheers. Yeah. Spoiler alert. Okay, Seth. Thanks.
Yeah.
Our happy
Seth.
Canadian audience is back in. Of course, all the loonies come back out in full force when a Canadian wins the week before, especially when we weren't on him. But that sucks.
Talk about it.
Hey, at least I mentioned Nick Taylor last week, albeit very briefly.
I think Ozzy did, and I think I shit on him for it.
Yeah, I did. I agreed with him. Thank God.
Shout
out to Calgary, Alberta, up there with Royal Slade. Oh, Seth that liked my intro. All right. Hey, thanks, man. Let's go. That sounds like Connor. All right. Connor, how you feeling? I know Riviera is one of our favorite golf courses to attack. Betting side, this event is spectacular. It's Tiger's event. He's back playing golf on TV again. The Sunday Red brand is new again. Are you psyched?
I am psyched. I'm even more psyched to try and get right this week. I think we have some really good leans we're going to talk about, so I'm ready for it. And since you brought it up, the Sunday Red brand, how do we feel about it? Like I'm really split. Like some of it's really cool, some of it
yeah.
I'm like, eh.
So the polo shirts, the red polo shirt, that thing's gonna be impossible to find here for a long while because that thing's fire. Like the logo being below the button line is incredible design. I mean, nobody ever thought of that until TaylorMade and Tiger Woods got it. That's really, really nice. It's Sunday Red. It's right there. The shoes. Oh my God, the golf shoes. You know, Tiger's golf shoes with Nike were spectacular in their own right. One of the best pairs of golf shoes you can buy. I'm guessing his Sunday Red is going to be very similar fit with TaylorMade. The rest of it, I could go either way. The slacks are okay. The Sunday Red being at the bottom of the cuff on the slacks. I mean, you're going to get some overpriced stuff that some people will think is fashionable, but I mean, other than the red polo and the shoes, I could pass.
I thought the black on black hoodie was pretty fire.
That's just like you put on the wraparound shades and flip that hoodie as you're coming through the parking lot. You're feeling bulletproof right then, hitting the first tee. Just better not hit a breakfast ball.
Just strip that bad boy off and don the bright red underneath. Like,
oh my God,
I have visions. But anyways,
we'll
see what he's rocking on Sunday, God willing.
Oh, we know what he's rocking. What are you rocking as far as a beverage, sir? I have a feeling this is going to hurt.
A little bit. So tomorrow is my birthday, and being that we're two Irish chaps, and we're already broke the news we're going to be heavy on Rory, I figured I'd break out this bottle that Bo is still remembering all of his losses from last year every time I break it out.
Such a great bottle of whiskey. I mean, Redbreast 12 is an iconic Irish pot still whiskey, incredible cinnamon cookie taste. This one is even smoother because it's been aged an extra 3 years. I sent that to you as penance for me absolutely bombing in DFS last year, which you earned. You played extremely well throughout the season and beat me over the course of the season. So I rewarded you with that beautiful bottle of Irish whiskey, and I mean, hats off to you and hats off to hopefully Rory McIlroy this week because we're both going to be on him. I pulled out an old favorite of mine. It's a foolproof 1792 store pick. Absolutely incredible. We're talking 125 proof. That's some straight gasoline, but it tastes so good.
I don't know about you. I have never had a bad 1792 barrel pick. Never once. They're all amazing.
Oh, yeah. And unless you're getting just the regular bottom shelf 1792, which is not very good. The rest of them that I've had, they're bottled in bond. They're single barrel selections. Outstanding whiskey. They got some smart people working over there that know how to mix some juice pretty well.
I actually, over the weekend, we pregame for the Super Bowl, and a buddy of mine is a buyer for a chain out here. Anyways, he's doing a Knob Creek barrel pick right now, so I got to taste his.
How jealous are you, though?
I will say the one that he picked is delish, so I'll try and get a hold of some bottles. But
it's really hard to mess that up, really.
Yeah, I was blown away by a couple of them. They were really, really good. And I mean, we've talked about it on the show before. That used to be part of my job, was doing those barrel picks. So it's been a long time since I got to sit in on, not really sit in on one. He already had done it, but it's been a while since I got to taste some straight like that.
I just love that first Kentucky chew of that barrel proof. It's hot, of course, but it's got so much flavor. Like the caramel is so strong. It's almost got that dry cherry behind it. My God, that's good.
I always get a lot of that cherry on 1792. God, now you're making me salivate. I'm gonna have to go get a bottle.
I mean, we got Riviera week. Let's. What do you say we do the caddy notes and knock that out? I want to hear about this golf course because it's quirky. Because of how old it is and where it's positioned in Los Angeles County, it's got all kinds of weird nuances. It's got the easiest hole on the PGA Tour on the very first tee box, and it's got the rest of this course can be absolutely brutal at times. Let's hit the drop, and then Connor's going to tell us how spectacular Riviera Country Club is. Fist bump. Jaeger bomb.
Yeah, showering that shit. Oh man, no, I'm pumped, and I know that you love this place too. So I feel like we're going to talk about this for a few minutes.
Let's do it. We can nerd out all we want. This is one of the best golf courses in the world. We said that about, Torrey Pines, but Torrey Pines is more about the majestic landscape, the scenic cliffs overseeing the Pacific. This has a little bit of that, but it's got a lot more on the golf course side of it. And yes, this is the same designer as LA Country Club, and so we will have some barrancas.
Which we all know. I just learned what those were not long ago.
Yeah, it's a ditch. You don't end up in the ditch.
Yeah, don't end up in the ditch. It's not good for anybody. I'll give the vitals, and then we can listen to you be poetic. You're so much more. So anyways, we are at Riviera Country Club. This is a 70-player invitational. It's an elevated event, like Bo mentioned. We top 50 and ties plus anyone within 10 strokes. So probably looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 guys getting all the way through the weekend. But just know that there is a cut after the first two rounds. It is in LA, like Bo mentioned. Par 71, 7,322 yards. Fairways are Kikuya, which we've talked about on the show before, is that real, like, kind of thistly, like, sharp edges, intertwining grass.
Broad, thick blades, and they're crosshatched. So, yeah, on the fairway, it's not really much different from any other surface, but the rough here will mess you up. And they want you to hit in that rough. they want to challenge your accuracy off the tee here, Connor. So explain how important it is to find the fairway at Riviera.
Critical. And this place also boasts one of the lower fairways in regulation percentage on tour. You got a bunch of trees lining the fairways, and they're giant trees, very, very old
trees.
Yeah, which narrows your depth even more. You've got a lot of weird dog legs. You got to be able to bend it both directions. Bo mentioned it, like the rough will be up, and if you go into the rough off the fairway, you're going to be hitting flyers. You're going to be hitting. I mean, it's just
it's going to snap your club short. You might fluff completely underneath it. The fairway bunkers are right in the landing areas too. Like some of these guys are going to, was it 14 and 15? At 15, a lot of guys take the 17th fairway adjacent, and they take it right over a scoreboard that they've tried to put in the way to block tee shots going down the opposite fairway, but it doesn't work because these guys can hit it right over the top of it. It's a smarter play because if you hit it into the fairway bunker on 15, you're absolutely dead. You're looking at double bogey.
Yeah, 100%. And the Barranca that Royal mentioned in the chat comes into play on quite a few holes. It basically is basically the way it looks as you're watching some of the flyovers is it's almost looks like a dry riverbed kind of flowing in between fairways and cutting short of some greens. It's present. It's there, and you really, really don't want to end up there. So a lot of trouble off the tee to be found. The greens we're back on POA again.
Yes.
Some of the smaller complexes that we're going to see on tour all year, and they're very, very small ones. Hole 10 stands out in my mind. I'll let Bo be romantic about hole 10 and hole 6 when we get through the stats here. Yeah. But yeah, these are definitely tricky greens to hit. It's definitely going to need strong approach, and we're definitely going to be looking at around the green ability to get up and down this week because people are going to miss these. The greens are typically extremely fast, and extremely, I mean, probably more so than the last few weeks. But with the weather that we've had in LA over the last 10 days, it's going to probably play a little slower than what's typical. But we definitely want to get guys that are good putters on POA and avoid 3-putting. Most of the past champions here have gained at least 1 to 2 strokes on the putting surface for the week. So you definitely need guys that can drop them. The weather right now is sunny but cool. Looks like we're probably going to have a little bit more moisture over the weekend, subject to change. So, check your lineups. I'd say we're probably still going to be looking somewhere. I would say we're going to be in the high teens as far as a winning score goes. Cut's probably going to be above par. It almost always is. I'm guessing probably +2. John Rahm won last year. Neiman won the year before. Max Homa before that. Adam Scott before that. JB Holmes, Bubba Watson, and Dustin Johnson. So a couple of former champions are now on the Live Tour, so we won't be seeing them this week. But we've got a couple of guys in the field that are coming in with great form that are past champions here. So that is kind of the high-level overview of the course, and I will let Bo chime in with what he thinks.
And it is interesting that the winning scores can be pretty close to average PGA Tour scoring, somewhere between 15 and 20 under par. And that's pretty much how it is every year. But there's such a disparity here because the good players are the ones finding the fairway and the greens, or they're at least able to scramble and make pars instead of the big numbers. If they can avoid big numbers, you can make a decent 4-round score here. On the other side of that coin is there are a lot of big numbers on this golf course. If you don't find the fairway, or if you get short-sighted in one of these bunkers, green side or in the fairway, you're looking at a 7 or an 8 on some of these holes. And so, yes, you're going to have guys that miss the cut that are going to be 15 shots behind the leader because they had just could not avoid the snowman or the back-to-back double bogeys that can lurk around every corner here. So, yeah, there's going to be a big disparity in scoring because of just some guys are better at avoiding the trouble and not compounding mistakes as others. Some guys just come out and have a bad week, and it's gonna be over pretty quick. And hopefully it's not one of our guys, but Riviera it's kind of an enigma that way because, like you said, it's a course with some really sharp, challenging tee shots. There's a lot of challenging approach shots, and if you're not really precise, you're going to have to scramble. And that leads me to hole 6, which is a long par 3. And the only interesting thing about it is there's a pot bunker, a little tiny one, right smack dab in the middle of the green, which means that each day of the tournament, there's going to be a hole location that's kind of pigeonholed into a corner next to that pot bunker. And there's also bunkers around the whole green. So it's a very easy hole to, if you don't just find the putting surface, even if you do and you're on the wrong quadrant, you might be chipping off of that green, trying to get it around that pot bunker. It's a tricky hole. It demands a really nice long iron shot into approach, and it's a good par. If you make 3 on that hole, you are skipping to the next tee box. Number 10, as easy as hole 1 is, as a par 5, really short downhill par 5, easiest hole in the PGA Tour. A lot of these guys, the first 2 days, are going to be teeing off on number 10, and this is a drivable, in quotes, air quotes, drivable par 4, where it's going to entice you to drive this short green, 315 yards to 325. Every player in the field can reach it with a driver or a 3-wood, and they're going to do everything in their power to make that a complete sucker bet, really. The smarter players will hit a long iron off the tee, short left, so they're hitting a chip shot up what is probably a green as narrow as a gnat's ass, sloping away from you and sloping into these nasty deep bunkers where you have no green to work with. And so you'll see guys who find those greenside bunkers chipping it back and forth from one greenside bunker to the other because there's no green to work with whatsoever. There's such a severe slope away from the hole into those bunkers that unless you hit a perfect chip shot into this green, you are looking at a double bogey. And so you're going to see guys putting for eagle on that hole. And some guys will make eagle on that hole because if you find the spot on the left side of the green, you can very easily make a 2 on that hole. And then you'll see guys putting out for 8. So that hole is everything you want a golf hole to be. And you're going to see the best players in the world look really foolish. You're also going to see some really amazing opportunities for scoring on that hole as well. It just depends on the tee shot. And of course, that wedge shot, if you're short left, hitting a very precise distance and spin controlled wedge shot is going to put every ounce of precision on the table for all these guys. So where those 2 holes are kind of quirky and different, the rest of this course is just straight up. You have to set up your next shot with the one before it. And it's a lot like TPC Sawgrass in that regard, where you have to think your way around this golf course and you have to be precise. And it helps to have experience at Riviera. Some of these guys are playing here for the first time. This course is so weird and so different from a lot of places that the first timers here, they're either going to have to come in really, really hot and keep it that way, or they're going to have to learn on the go.
Yeah, 100%. And I think really what we find is a course history experience here. Just to kind of piggyback on what you said, guys that have played well here continue to play well here. Guys that have played poorly here, in contrast, like, it's not just the experience, the good experience, it's also the bad experience. Like, a lot of guys that don't play well here every time they come here. So there really is a lot of sticky stats around course history and even the strokes gain metrics, which I went back and looked at about 3 years of strokes gain metrics specifically at this tournament. And very, very similar stats on the guys that have performed well here year to year. They typically have got almost a muscle memory about the place. So it's definitely something to think about as you're building out rosters. It's definitely something to think about as you're placing bets too, because it's highly unlikely, in my opinion, that somebody with bad course history and or a rookie win here. Not this year, at least.
What kind of stats are you building around? Because I'm more par 4, par 5 scoring, tee to green stats, of course. You in your show sheet notes, I noticed you put driving accuracy. Of course, that's important. I felt it a little bit more finite to drill down to good drives gained, because you're going to have driver holes, you're going to have long iron holes, you're going to have forced layup holes, a lot like Pebble Beach, but with more driving holes. And so good drives gained for me just encompasses more of that whole bag approach to finding the fairway and setting up a good approach into a tiny green that's going to be running pretty quick with pretty tricky greens. So putting matters, scrambling absolutely matters. And around the green, short game, strokes gained short game, or around the green, either way you cut it, you're going to get the same kinds of computations with those stats. You need a guy who comes in hot, who's seen this place before, and he's an all-around good player. I just don't think that you're going to find somebody who's got a weak spot coming into this tournament without it getting exposed.
Yeah, so the only things I would add to what you said in terms of the metrics or the stats that I looked at, I agree with you on everything you said. I did strokes gained off the tee, which is at least a similar metric to the good drives gained that you used. I also married that with driving accuracy, specifically just looking at how many fairways in regulation, etc. But with the approach buckets, I looked at everything from about 150 through 200, so that you can bucket that down a couple of different ways. But that's kind of the main approach that I was looking at. So we always talk, you got to be good on approach. Well, you need to be good on approach, but here specifically, most of your shots are coming in from that bucket. So you can have guys that are good outside of that range that may not perform well here. So I just tried to narrow down the actual approach metrics that we were looking at. And then, like I said, I built in some specific stats that were based on course history, and then the strokes gained metrics for the players at this event. So other than that, very, very similar. I think what's unique too is, as you look at some of the players that are gonna pop in the model on here, like some of them I actually like kind of eliminated from my player pool in DFS just from the standpoint that they were either first timers or had bad like course history, and that kind of ruled them out even with the form. So very, very into the course history this week.
Yeah, and especially in DFS, where in a 70-man field you have no room for error. Your player pool's got to be lock solid, or you're going to be done. So yeah, it's nice to be able to trim it down. I think I started with 22 guys and trimmed it down to 19. I think I might even be down to 16 or 17 by the time we lock, because of that factor where wasn't weighting course history as much early on, but I'm starting to add that in. Yeah.
I feel like that should be like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like every time you say Barrancas, we gotta
don't end up in the barranca.
It sounds so much more native when you say it. I don't know what that's about.
It's because I can roll my R's.
Yeah, I'm too far up in the Midwest. We should have one of the Canadians pop on and try and roll an R.
Don't you know? We say we start betting on some golf. I got some good picks, and I think you're going to agree with most of them. So let's get right into agreement season. All right, Connor. Again, we get Scotty Scheffler, who looked like he was going to win on Sunday. The guy made 23 birdies between pretty much between Saturday's round, finished up his final round, his third round on Sunday, and then carried that into the front nine of Sunday's final round. But his back nine, he made too many pars and got passed up. And that was my cue to turn on football coverage, because I had a nice parlay that would have been great if Scotty would have won, because I had Kansas City money line on top of it, which would have paid 10-1. However, Scotty Scheffler, back nine on Sunday, not good, wasn't good enough. I just think that Scotty Scheffler here is a terrible fit. I think he couldn't be worse as far as course fit goes. This might be the tournament where I completely fade him. I don't play him in DFS whatsoever. I'm definitely not betting him at plus 650 after what he just showed at Scottsdale, where he basically owns the place. Scotty Scheffler came in 43rd in my model. Where did he pop up in yours?
So he actually popped right near the top still in mine.
Okay.
And so I think one thing that I can narrow down with him is once I started, like, he's a course history player that once I eliminated the course history and then reran it with just the straight like form, he dropped dramatically. And he does have decent course history here, decent strokes gained in almost every category. Not like elite world class worthy of plus 650, but he does have some decent course history here. But I think at the beginning of last season, even he was putting better, he was approaching better. His like everything about his game was just a lot tighter than it is right now. And to your point, Bo, like it seems like he's just kind of lost that edge a little bit. Like Scotty Scheffler from last season would have taken down the WM no problem. But we make that turn on Sunday and just all of a sudden there's no gas left. And I think that's fueled by some of the short game woes, really. And it only takes him screwing up a couple things to have it really get in his head, it appears. And this is a course where you're going to miss greens. You're going to have to be able to make some putts. I don't
his scrambling because of that putting has been off. Like you could see when he was hitting it so close that in that 18-hole stretch on Saturday and Sunday, it didn't matter how bad his putter was running because he was making the 8-footers for birdie. He was making the 4-footers for birdie. That was light work for him. But once he started missing fairways and greens on the back nine there, he was scrambling for pars, and it didn't look easy at all. That's something I worry about is him being able to recover in the inevitable case that he does miss some fairways and greens here. I just don't. I'm completely off Scotty Scheffler, and I'm going full bore, just as heavy as I was on Scotty last week. I'm going full bore into Rory McIlroy this week because from tee to green and bogey avoidance and making birdies on par fives and strokes gain on approach and all these buckets, Rory, all number one. He's number one by a mile in my model. It's not close. Nobody else is anywhere near his stratosphere in the stats. He also has good success here. He's one of the best players in the world. He putts extremely well on Poana, surprisingly enough. So what are we missing here? Why wouldn't we just bet all of our money on Rory McIlroy this week and just call it good?
No, I think that's what I'm going to do. And damn you for stealing my thunder. First time this year that I get to recommend Rory. But I'm glad you chimed in first because I think everybody just thinks that I auto bet Rory every week. But
you do.
But here in particular, good course history, like you alluded to, he's in great form. I think he's got a runner up and a win in the last 2 months, last 4 or 5 starts. So he's been playing well, and the thing that has held Rory back here every year is that he struggles to, not just here, just in general, he struggles to put 4 solid rounds together. It's not that he has a bad round. He just has a round that takes him out of contention. And so that's the biggest thing I'm looking at with him this week is as long as he can put together 4 solid competitive rounds where he's gaining strokes each day, he should take this thing down so easy. So that's the question mark for me. I know we're going to get 3 solid rounds out of Rory. I know we're going to get the cut out of Rory. I know he's going to probably be in the top 10 going into Sunday, but a lot's going to depend on what kind of pressure Rory we get. But at double-digit odds, absolutely. Like I think he should be shorter. I think he should be shorter than Scotty.
He should be. He should be. And the fact that he's not means that we're full steam ahead.
100%.
So going down the board here, we got Viktor Hovland, we got JT. Anybody else kind of pop up for you here?
Max Homa's my next one.
Me too. Hey. And I like a lot of these guys. You can't go wrong with Xander, Victor, Patrick Cantley's got great course history here. JT's got the makeup to do it. Collin Morikawa, of course, ball striking wise is as good as it gets. His short game scares the shit out of me though. But yeah, I go right down to Max Homa here, who won in 2021. And that was in the midst of 4 consecutive top 10 finishes at Riviera. This guy is absolutely nails on this golf course. I wonder why. He's excellent off the tee, one of the most accurate tee shot guys there is. And this guy putts the lights out on Poana. We're talking not even close. This guy putts the lights out on Poana. He's up there with a lot of the guys who don't have the ball striking chops that he has as a great putter in conjunction with that. It's no mystery why he's so good here. his game fits this course like a glove. And at 18-1, we're playing Max Homa.
Well, and what I think is interesting with Homa in particular is you left off the fact that he was runner-up last year. So
yeah,
I think
he very well could have beaten Rahm last year. He just kind of faded late.
And I think if we had Max Homa in really good form the last 2 weeks with better finishes, I think we have a much shorter number coming into this. Like the plus 1800 on Max Homa, I just don't understand how he's not down closer to that, like plus 1,000, plus 1,200, like something like that. Like that seems like where he should be given the course history and given the overall form of the last like 6 months. It's not like he's playing bad golf. He's just been a little cold coming in. So I really, really like him to like kind of get right here. I am so like blinded by Rory McIlroy that it's hard to get uber excited about Max Homa. But if I had to pick somebody else here at a little longer odds, I think Homa's the next one that competes.
Well, and especially when you have a couple guys that are right behind him in Sam Burns, who's coming in red hot, but obviously not the same caliber of player. And then Ludwig Aubert, who has accomplished absolutely nothing to warrant the 20-1 line, is a first timer here. Obviously, he has the short game and the off the tee chops, but his approach game has been so bad.
Does he though on the off the tee game? Because anytime that we get him in tight quarters, he misses a lot of fairways.
And that's the thing, is he's hitting a lot of fairways gained on wide open courses, but yeah, when things get tight, Ludwig is he's a robot out there. But he's also he's coming in pretty far down my list here. Let me see where he came in pretty low for me. So just like Scotty, 41st for Scotty, Aubert 44th in my model, no better than 38th in any of the metrics in my model. That's not good.
Here's the thing with him. Like once I eliminated the course history stats from my model, with him he popped up to third, which is really good, but a lot of that comes on this being a little bit like a little bit smaller field. I think is part of it. There's not as much competition for some of these metrics, but secondly, what stood out to me is his fairways gained. He's in the lower half of this field, right? So he's missing fairways, and he's missing them on easier courses for the last 24 rounds. His proximity stats from 175 to 200 are 50th in this field. And we already talked about how a lot of the longer approach shots are going to come into play here. So I don't, somebody who I'm already suspect on his approach game, it just feels to me like this is a course that maybe in years to come, Oberg is going to be, he's probably going to show up here next year and take this place down. But I think he needs to get a couple laps under his belt.
He needs to earn something, but get to 20-1 is a ridiculous line. And that's a big knock on these sports books that are just, I mean, obviously they're going on popularity. People are betting money on Ludwig to do something here. I just haven't seen it, and I don't think we're going to see it this year. It's just, it doesn't make any sense for the company that he's keeping in this area. It doesn't make any sense. I'd rather play Adam Scott in a heartbeat. Adam Scott, 25-1 for a guy who's never done poorly here. He's been here that's coming to this golf course for 20 years. This guy's barely missed any cuts over all those years he's been coming here. He likes it here.
Dude, and he's absolutely playing like some of the best golf that Adam Scott has played in about 5+ years. And what's great about it is he's doing it so far under the radar that
nobody seems to care. Yeah. And he popped up before I added course history of 17th. I added course history, went up to 2. That's how important it is to play well around here. Like he came in with the right stats already to be in the top half of this field in my model. And then you add in what he's done here over the years, and it's just like, boop, Adam Scott, 25-1, a little short for me, for my comfort, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to bet it.
I don't think it's short, really. I think the books are pretty sharp on this one. Like, I think that's where he belongs. Like, he is playing that good right now at a place that he typically plays even better. Like, when you look at some of the strokes game metrics for him, he's almost a stroke and a half better on this course than any other course in the Rota. So, like, there is something to be said for a guy who's already in just blazing hot form.
Yeah.
Who also happens to torch this place every time he steps on it.
Loves it here. And that's the thing. He's like Fitz and I on yesterday's Betting Pro show. We have our one and done picks, and I saved Max Homa for this golf course, and he played Max Homa at Pebble Beach, so he could play Adam Scott here. So that's what we're going against each other with is Homa versus Scott on this at the Genesis, and it's going to be close. I have a feeling they're both going to be right there at the end, and so I mean, for me, I'd rather play Adam Scott as like a DFS sneaky leverage pick because he's not even that popular. It makes no sense at all. Like this week makes no sense. Some of these lines make no sense. The prices make no sense. And I'm dropping down after him and going down to Cam Young, who I don't think you're a big fan of because what has he done for us lately? But he likes it here. He's had good form. He played here last year and the year before, played very well. And finally, Cam Young riding a pretty decent putter, especially on Poana. So what do you know? I'm the last guy you would expect to play Cam Young, and here I am betting on Cam Young at 35-1, which I think is an insult.
You are going to get zero support from me on that. So
I know. So this is the one guy we're going to disagree on.
No, man. I'm just going to be honest with Cam Young. The challenges are still there. Like he may be putting some parts of it together, but over the last 24, he's still 60th in approach in this field. Like that's not good.
Seems bad.
And 60th in strokes gained around the green, also not great. And then when you look at the 150 to 175 bucket, which is going to be the shorter of most of these approaches, 57th in this field. So there's just a lot of things with him where
not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. So I'll probably take a shot or two, just a FOMO thing, because we've been on Cam Young for a long time in DFS, but an outright bet, absolutely not. There is no way on God's green earth that Cam Young wins.
All right. So that's that. Scratching my dreams. Yeah, he didn't model that well for me, but I when I weighted course history, he popped back up pretty high.
Cam Young just absolutely fucks me so often.
Can we? I know this. I just have a weird feeling because
say fuck or not.
Yeah, so when I added course history, he went from 51st to 23rd. That's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, and I do.
Who else do you have in that range, though?
Who do I have near Cam Young?
Fitz, Poston, Zal, Willie Z. Are we back on Willie Z again?
I would take some shots at Willie Z. I think I'd be more interested in like a top 20 bet on top 10, maybe on Willie Z. I think down there, I am looking at Fitz a little bit. 35-1 seems like a pretty good number.
He's so good off the tee. I mean, Fitz, tee ball accuracy and distance combined. This guy's a total driving machine.
I like Poston again, 45-1. I mean,
the postman delivers.
And I think if this, there's a couple ways that I could see this going. If it stays in that like mid to even low teens,
yeah,
I think both Poston and Fitz become even more attractive. That just seems like more of a tournament that they're going to be able to hang and compete at, and they're both in pretty decent form. So those would be maybe the two that I've got interest in there. But if I had to pick one, probably Poston.
My next guy down is Nikolai Højgaard, and 22 years old, first timer, but we're talking an incredible off the tee player. His approach game has been really good lately, and one of the best short games for a young guy we've seen on tour. Like this guy's a PGA Tour rookie, but he's not a rookie. This guy was dominating the DP World Tour as a teenager, and this guy's got all kinds of game, all kinds of ball striking. His short game is immaculate. I can see him making some noise at 50-1 for his upside, his talent. I want to see some Nikolai Højgaard on Sunday making some noise.
Yeah, I like him in general. He in a lot of ways is Oberg to me.
Yeah. Better on approach though.
I'd say he's maybe got a little more experience on approach at this point. I don't know if I think overall that he's a better player than Oberg, but I think right now, if I had to pick one first timer, younger guy, it would be Højgaard for sure. I trust him more than I trust Oberg.
Yeah. There's two buckets that he did not pop up well on. and that was bogey avoidance. This guy makes birdies in his sleep, but not always good at avoiding the big number, which scares me a little bit. And then that longest proximity bucket. His approach game is great up until you hit 200 yards. And there are some holes where I did stretch it out from 150 onward because I wanted to add that 200 plus bucket for some of these par threes and some of these forced layup par fours. So he popped up 61st on proximity on approaches over 200 yards. Those two stats really drug him down. But other than that, he's solid.
How do you finish in that stat? Dead last? He had a good day, though.
61st out of 70. Who wants to count? Connor's not counting that stat.
Must be something they put in the water.
200 yards? No, I can't do that.
Yeah, I like I said, to round that out on him, I think if I had to pick one between him and Ober, I would go Højgaard. Do you want to get into some longer shots since we're in long shot season?
We got to nail one. I only have one guy over 100 to 1. You might have a couple, but my one guy is the guy that we both hate.
So I'll just call out one that's 80 to 1 and Chris Kirk. Chris Kirk is maybe the polar opposite of everything else I'm doing this week. He has abysmal course history here.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to call out that Chris Kirk is a completely different golfer than he was 12 months ago. So I do think that if I had to take a shot on somebody who has the approach game, the scrambling game, the short game, Chris Kirk would be somebody that has bad course history, but at 80 to 1, I think it's a reflective of the risk. So I would take a shot at Chris Kirk. Adam Hadwin at 90 to 1 is another one. And then I'll let you do your deep. I'm wondering if it's going to be a similar guy.
Yeah, it's just a guy that I think has been rounding the corner with his weak spot and playing extremely well. He popped up 11th in my first model and 13th in my second. Luke List. And I never play Luke List because his putting is bad. And his approach game is really good on longer approach. That 150 to 175 is a concern. But ball striking wise, top of this field in ball striking. Bogey avoidance is okay, but tee to green second, par fours in that key range of 450 to 500. It's second in the field, pretty much across the board except for putting. And the last couple of weeks, especially on Poana greens, Luke List, of all people, has been turning the corner. And at 110 to 1 in a course like this where he's going to be able to hit less than driver farther than a lot of people here and putting himself in good positions. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to bet some Luke List at 110 to 1. What is happening to me?
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. I'm not as resistant to Luke List as you are. I've kind of been.
He's got the firepower though, and from what I saw him doing with that new, like he does that like paintbrush style putting stroke now, like what I saw from him, it got rid of his yips. Like he was just in his head where he couldn't get out of ball striker mode and like finesse these putts. And so like whatever happened with that new putting stroke, it's working.
Yeah, no argument for me, especially at those odds. I think that's a really good, believe it or not, a really good value. Like Luke List has been
incredible,
been playing really good golf. The other guy that I can't figure out quite why he's down there, other than he's not like a sexy name, Brendan Todd, 130 to 1, has been playing really good golf.
And excellent. Guess what? The Todd father is at 150 to 1 now.
I love it. That's even better. Love it. He's number one in this field for fairways gained, and he's in the top 10 for a couple of the proximity buckets. He's right there in the top 15 for putting. Like, there's just so much to like about Brendan Todd. It's such a long.
We love the Todd father on the show, man.
And he's one of those guys that I think is going to plot his way around here the way that he's supposed to. He doesn't have great course history here, but again,
he's a smart player
who's playing better golf than he has in a long time. So, long shot season, I don't see why not.
So there is a big cat in the room. He's gone from 130 opening line to 110. Tiger, Eldrick Tiger Woods. This is his event. He is sponsored by Genesis, and he gave himself the last exemption. You might have heard of him. He's the best player to ever walk the earth, and he's fully healthy. He's got a new brand apparel line, which we love to see. We love to see Tiger succeed on and off the course. He has never won here, not once. Out of all these courses, like Torrey Pines, he's won 8 times. Bay Hill, 8 times. Riviera, 0 of his 80 plus victories are here at this place where he calls it's his home course. The guy's from Los Angeles. He grows up playing Riviera. This is the site of his first PGA Tour event in 1996. He's never won here. How is that possible? And why in the hell would we bet a guy who's never won here in 30 years?
I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to have like a $5 FOMO bet, but
YOLO.
There's nowhere in my mind do I think.
Do you
Tiger
think he can win? Yeah.
And like
if he didn't win here from 98 through 06, I just don't think it's going to happen.
I'm telling you, there would be nothing more amazing than watching Tiger.
Oh my God. I just want to see him make it to Sunday and be somewhat close to contention. That would make me happy.
But I mean, let's just briefly, because I don't think anybody's taking this as a serious bet. At least I hope nobody's taking it as a serious bet. Like he's just never played well here, and I don't know why that is necessarily. But statistically, like he hasn't really played in what, a year? This is the first time back in a year, isn't it?
Yeah, he played some fall events, so he's played competitive golf in the last 4 months, but not on this stage, not on a course this tough. As good as he is still, like you can see he's out there lashing 340-yard drives with one good leg. He's still got every bit of the talent that he had before. I just don't think he has that edge anymore, and that might just become his new thing, is where he shows up, he changes the entire landscape of the tournament, which we love. We love the growth of the game. Tiger Woods grows the game like nobody else before or will ever do again, and that's his role. But I'm looking at Tiger Woods top 20 plus 330. I could do that.
Yeah, I could see that being more realistic. I think you just
3-1 for a top 20 for the best player to ever live.
That would be his best finish in over 5 years, I think.
Exactly.
So like, I don't. My biggest thing with Tiger, like as far as betting goes, he just doesn't like. There's nothing that stands out. Like even his putter, which used to be something like he could stand 30, 40 feet away on a snake putt, and you're like, oh, that's going in. I mean, he's one of the worst putters in this field over the last 24 rounds. And not only one of the worst putters, but I mean, he's like right almost the worst at avoiding 3 putts. So like, I don't know. Like I will never not believe in Tiger, but as far as any kind of real investment with any kind of expectation to get that back, I don't think so. I hope I'm
anybody
wrong.
deeper. Anybody deeper?
I don't think so.
I got Todd there.
I got a pretty. I mean, I really, if you read my betting article on IBT.com, like it's literally the people that I'm betting. Like, there's nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. So,
yeah, make sure you check that out. Like and subscribe In Between Media here on YouTube. But also go to in-betweenmedia.com and check out Conor's DFS and betting articles. Pretty good stuff, like really, really rich with knowledge, like all the same things you get on screen here, but in written form. So you can do it discreetly instead of hearing us yell about it.
And people edit me, so I sound even more intelligent, which is also a win.
I'm right. All right. Well, are you ready for some DFS? Because I probably had the most embarrassing DFS lineup. This is the worst. Like, this is the coldest stretch of DFS I've ever had, but I seem to be killing it.
Points.
What?
Like, I absolutely kicked the piss out of you guys this week.
I know, because you had more than 2 guys make the cut. That helps. I mean, it's just I'm glad I'm doing so well, and I did so well on the Super Bowl the showdown captain mode. I killed it there and got my bankroll back up because golf DFS been kicking my ass. I need to switch it up, do something different. Connor, I don't want to slam any more trunks.
I don't either. I also don't want to have to give back any more kidneys to fund my betting habits. So that's for money.
Degenerates. All right.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling plan.
All right. DraftKings pricing, very top. Scotty Scheffler, not interested. 11-5, not interested. Not playing. I have 0% Scotty Scheffler. It might kill me because he's the best golfer in the world right now. But I'm going to start at Rory McIlroy, 11-2. Xander and Viktor I'll have little snippets of, but again, I'm going to drop down to Max Homa at 98. I think we're both in agreement with the top two plays on the board here. But kind of shed some light on these top guys that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rory is kind of the clear play. It projected 16% right now. Like that's a really low amount in a small field. So I think that is where I start a lot of this. And Max Homa's at 16.2, barely more than Rory's.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Our top two guys are leveraged too. Oh my God. Nobody share this video. I don't want it to jump.
Us and our 6 listeners, we're good. But for real, I think those two are the guys I would play. The interesting one to me is Viktor Hovland. And I think what's interesting about it more so than anything is he's projected almost 4% lower than the rest of these guys in the top with good reason. He's potentially got a little bit of a wrist thing, couple issues going on there, but if you think
scrambler,
if you're playing some lineups, it might not be the worst move to try and start some lineups with Viktor Hovland. Just keep an eye on whether he withdraws or not. Like, just make sure you're checking your lock, because if he tees it up, he's good to go. That's one thing we know about Viktor Hovland is if he takes time off and he comes back and he's ready to play, he's going to play. He's not going to withdraw. So I would just keep an eye on that. But that's really, really good leverage on a guy who, quite frankly, was maybe the best golfer in the world the last 6 months. So
how chalky is Patrick Cantlay?
Not horrible. About 16 and a half, 17.
I'll have a good amount of him too. If I don't start with Homa and Rory, I'm going to start with Cantlay and JT. Those are the two guys that I'm. But Cantlay just owns this place. He's out there fucking fairway dart, approach dart, makes putts. This guy's a robot, just like Ludwig wants to be one day. I think Ludwig's the next Patrick Cantlay. Honestly, that's a very similar player. Just kind of ice water in the veins. I just think that Cantlay's course history here is so good.
But he's been putting bad, like bad, like 54th in this field, bad.
Yeah,
but I get it. Like he could rebound here pretty good. I firmly believe that Justin Thomas is going to be the player of the year. I think that's going to happen, but I can't keep making him my first in DFS at his price. Like, it's not that I don't want to believe. It's just that right now he's not returning the investment. So I can't continue to start lineups with Justin Thomas. If I can find a way to stack Rory JT, Max JT, I'll try and work JT into my rosters, but I don't know if he's going to win here. This doesn't shout out to me a course that JT would win at.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I am going to FOMO bet it because I'm so high on him. So
yeah, I'm playing him in DFS at 9,100. That's a great price for him, especially since I can save on Choco Bear and Jordan Spieth. We didn't talk about him yet. And of course, where it's required to hit the fairway. If you're playing Jordan Spieth, you're dumb. Just dumb. I'm not going to pull any punches. Playing Jordan Spieth and putting any money behind Jordan Spieth this week is stupidity.
I mean, that's an aggressive take.
It is, but it's just not his bag. This is not his golf course. There's a couple guys running around this place that are great ball strikers. You would think Spieth would do great here because the short game is so immaculate. but you got to find the fairways. You got to find the fairways. And guys like Corey Connors here who find the fairways but have no short game, they have terrible course history here too. So I'm looking at those two guys and I'm saying, nope, no thanks. Pass, full 0% fade. And for me, that starts with Jordan Spieth. 9,000 is a decent price to sucker a bunch of chalk out of my player pool. I would love and invite anybody to play Jordan Spieth in the same event as I'm playing.
That is, I'm already regretting saying bad things about Justin Thomas. I should retract that. I'm going to play Justin Thomas again. I can't not be there. I just can't not be there. And he does play well here. Damn it, he's probably going to win. But
we don't have to worry about Tony Finau. He won't win here either. Neither will Sahith Theegala.
I never worry about Tony Finau ever.
No, I know you don't even think about him when you're sleeping. Sahith Theegala, great short game, doesn't find fairways. He's just a younger Jordan Spieth, and that's for me just bad course fit.
Yeah, Theegala I think is a pretty specific fit for places. So this doesn't stand out as somewhere for me. In that range, I'm probably higher on Sam Burns, but even with Sam Burns, like he has a tendency to miss fairways and he's not great around the green. And that's a pretty steep price tag on him. Honestly,
Theegala 63rd in good drives gained in this field. That's bad.
Brutal. No, Adam Scott at 8,200. I don't even care if that's chalk. I'll find other ways to get different. 8,200 on Adam Scott is absurdly cheap.
Can you give me a percentage on Cam Young since you're not playing him?
17.2% Cam Young.
Oh, not bad. Not bad. Not great, but not bad.
Yeah,
Adam Scott though. Adam Scott's such a great play at 82.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for leverage in there, it's honestly probably Keegan Bradley at 79 at 7.8%. He's probably like Jason Day, Sungjae M, Keegan Bradley is probably the best in that kind of range. If you're not going to play Adam Scott chalk at 22.
Yeah, I agree that. That's a really good range, actually. You got Scott, you got Tom Kim, who I'm not really great on this course, but Jason Day, recent forms are pretty bad. Sung JM models well here, but we don't know what that's going to look like. Willie Z is in that range. Keegan, JT Poston's in that range. Nikolai Højgaard's in that range. Russell Henley's in that range. This range is loaded with guys that you want in your pool, but maybe you weight it differently, like have more exposure to the guys that you feel strongly about. You can't go completely wrong with any of those guys.
From a stat modeling perspective, like my bread and butter is the sevens. Like I had a lot of guys.
It's loaded. Well
and a couple of them, like Eric Cole, is somebody that like I think this actually makes a lot of sense for him. His fairways gained
7,700 is crazy.
Well, and what was holding him back was his off the tee game. But like as you're looking at it with some recency to it, like his fairways gained has gone through the roof. He's already all the way up to 13th in this field. And the other thing I love about him is he's absolute nails on those approach ranges. Like he might be one of the better players in this field from that 150 to 200 range. Also, we know he's a world-class putter. So, I mean, Eric Cole at 7,700 rates out fourth in my modeling. Like Eric Cole's got a big star next to him. I'll be playing a lot of him. And it segues kind of nicely. I am actually going to fire up Nick Taylor again if he plays this. Royal asked if there's any Canadians other than Hadwin. I think there are some similarities in terms of the skill set you need between here and Waste Management. And so Nick Taylor played well there. I think he can play well here. I'm not saying it's an exact course comp, but there are a lot of similar skills that you need to be successful at both. So
and he's $100 more than Hadwin and $100 less than Connors, and Connors is a full fade. Nick Taylor, out of those three guys, is the Canadian of choice. The guy's hot. He just won. He's gonna be stoked to play. And what we saw last week was his ability to scramble, to avoid the big number when he wasn't quite sharp on a hole, and that's what kept him in it. And then he got hot on the back nine on Sunday, and that's sometimes all it takes. because he weathered that storm, especially on the playoff hole where he was in trouble. So was Charlie Hoffman. They're both in trouble. Guess who got down for the better score to win the damn thing? It was Nick Taylor. That's what we're looking for, is guys who can get up and down when they're not in play off the tee or on approach.
Well, and I think too with Nick Taylor, this is the beauty of daily fantasy sports. It doesn't matter what genre you're playing in. People hate to play the people that did well the week before. I can't explain that to you, but nobody is
they're trying not to chase, and sometimes too many people refuse to chase, and that ends up being a leverage situation in your favor. If you like Nick Taylor, fucking play Nick Taylor. The dude's good. He just won a tournament on the PGA Tour. He's playing hot, and good players come into this tournament and they stay the way they are. And that's for me. That's all it takes. Yeah, Lisa knows.
Which is why I'm going to become a fan of a football team next season. That I'm just going to pick one at random. I don't want to be called a bandwagoner because I got to get the hell off of that team behind me. Lisa's from Sioux Falls, so she's heard me rant about this. Anyways, the last thing I'll say about Nick Taylor is golf in particular in DFS. So you just alluded to it a little bit, Bo, but it's like one of the only DFS sports that people are afraid to play the hot hand, which is just to me. So take me and Bo's advice and roster him up. All right.
I mean, are we both fading our favorite guy from NorCal because he's coming off a really strong finish at Scottsdale? I know he does not fit this course. Sorry, Kurt.
I am going to play him because I played the shit out of him last week. I played him in well over 30% of lineups. I like
how good did he look last week? He was sharp.
I didn't want to concede victory to you and have to say NorCal 800 times, but Kurt Kitayama I thought set up really well last week. I think he sets up just as well this week. Like I said, a lot of the similar skills are going to translate over to here. And one thing we know about Kurt Kitayama is he can grind and he can find ways. It's a little Jordan Spieth-ish, right? Like he can find ways to get to the green and score. So I like Kitayama here.
Yeah, 6,900. That's nice. That's really nice. Nice. I love that price for a NorCal guy, 69. Another guy just a little bit above that that popped up, ball striker wise, Sepp Straka. I mean, we're not usually talking about Sepp here, but why not Sepp Straka? That's 7,100 for a guy who has won before. He's won on tough tracks, like he won the Honda Classic a couple years ago, where he pretty much had it as tough as anybody could have down the stretch, took down Shane Lowry. This is going to be a pretty tough test, and Sepp Straka is another grinder. He's a lot like Kitayama in that way, where it's like, okay, this guy's going to be hitting less than driver off a lot of tees. He's an outstanding long iron player like Kitayama. He's a good scrambler. Any love for our favorite Austrian?
I will be taking a pass on Sepp this week.
Nice Sepp Straka.
Not to say I won't play him down the road, but the problem is right there. I got Bo Hostler, who I trust more around the green. I trust more on approach, just a consistency play. So yeah, if I got to pick one in that range, it's probably Bo Hostler, and I already talked about it. Nick Taylor and Kurt Kitayama are the other two that I like down there.
Course history: Poa Greens, Taylor Montgomery season.
I know, right? I saw that too.
I want to whisper it because his tee to green game is so scary bad, but short game wise, putting wise, this dude's absolute freaking nails.
I just feel like he had more complementary skills last time around. Like now, I think he's really being propped up by his putter. Like,
it's definitely true. I mean, let's see here. His main stats: short game, putting, which ties into short game, par 5 scoring. He's really good. The rest of these stats, he's in the bottom half of this field. So
yeah, I don't think this is it for him. I think if it was a course with, I guess less accuracy needed, and it was like even a higher emphasis on putting, I think there's gonna be some spots we can play him, especially because he's gonna be in those sixes. but
All right, let's see here.
Down
Any
there.
love for, I'm looking at Luke List, 6,600. We talked about him earlier. Of course, Tiger Woods, 6,500. Very intriguing in DFS. A little bit chalky, I'm guessing, but I'm not going to go 0% Tiger. That's just not going to happen.
I would take a couple shots at Tiger in DFS. I think there's a better than average shot that we get. Only 1.8%, so he's no chalk. Luke List, who I also like, so don't take this as a dig, but Luke List is by far the chalkiest thing down here, projected about 9.1. Now, that'll change when the casuals who don't have football to watch get in here and see Tiger Woods at like damn near dead man.
Here's what happens is the Luke List chalk is probably going to stay pretty chalky. It's not going to disappear. So what I'm going to tell you is to play Luke List in your lineups where you're going contrarian at the top, so you can offset that chalk. Like go with leverage at the top and Luke List at the bottom. And then if you're going kind of more chalk run of the mills at the top, Gary Woodland down there, 6,100. I really like Gary again.
Now we're just looking for narratives, I think.
No, I just love Gary.
I love Gary.
Gary loves it here. This is a course that fits him well. And he pops up in my model very well, despite going through what he's gone through. It's a great story, of course, but we're not just narratives here. The stats back it up. He popped up 9th in my weighted model. This guy's a ball striking extraordinaire. His putting and short game are what hold him back, but good drives gained, he's outstanding. Strokes gained on par 4s and par 5s, outstanding. And approach distance is all outstanding. So if he can put the ball in the hole from the short game around the greens, we're looking at a Gary Woodland grind fest. The 6,100 is just disrespectful. You can build a lot of lineups fitting him in just as your chalk relief at the bottom.
I will not be doing that.
You don't tell me you're playing Chuck Hoffman and chasing some success.
I am playing Sam Ryder. Dead men. This is a misprice. I'm really sorry. Like there's Sam Ryder in the current form he's in, so and he has good course history here. T26 in 2022, T20 in 2023, and honestly, he really deserves to be priced up, probably more closer to like Lucas Glover, Tom Hoge. That's just the form he's in. And Sam Ryder right now over the last 24, 5th in my model for approach, 4th in my model for 150 to 175, 8th for 175 to 200. And he hits fairways in the top 15 percentile in this field. So there's some red flags. Obviously, he's not the world's best putter, but dead min, a guy who has decent course history here. To me, it's just a misprice. He really should be he should be up in that high 6, low 7 range.
All right. What's your winning score?
I'm going to go with 18 under, and I'm going to say Rory.
I'm going to say Rory as well, 16 under. And I'm going to throw out a little Nikolai Højgaard love. I really think he's got the chops to make a lot of noise. So let's both say yes to Rory. And
yes to Rory. And if I get a secondary pick like you did, my next one's probably Adam Scott. I think Adam Scott is really, really live this week. So I think
yes, he is.
That too.
All right, first round leader.
I'm going to go Rory.
Cam Young.
You should post a picture of you just lighting that money on fire. That'd probably be more profitable.
It might get more hits, right? And get the exposure money.
Man.
Yeah, I like that. I am playing his under strokes prop, or I think on Underdog, where I play a lot of these over-under rival props. I won last week. That was nice. I had 3 pushes and 2 wins, paid 3 to 1. That's nice. I'll take that every day. But this week I'm going to make my birdies 4.5 over 4.5 birdies in round 1. I'm going over that for Cam Young. because even if he has a bad hole or two, I can see him making a lot of birdies, especially on 1, 10, and on a couple of the other easier par fours.
Oh, I don't hate that. But I'm definitely not as excited about Cam Youngish. So we'll talk about that next week.
Rory's line is over under 69 strokes.
Yeah, I think you hammer
That's 2 under. That's 2 under. Hammer the under.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
No, I legit think Rory can go wire to wire. I think Adam Scott's going to be right there though,
and hopefully Max Homa.
That would be awesome. Maybe get a top 5 parlay. Get those 3 in there.
Hell yeah! All right, from Conor Coughlin, I am Bo McBrayer. This has been the 19th hole. What's next week? We got
the Mexico Open,
Vidanta,
where the headliner at current is Tony Finau. And then a bunch of people you've never heard of. So
because John Rahm's not back to defend his title, where he was 3-1 last year, and we ended up winning, or I ended up winning.
Tune in to discover exactly how much I hate Tony Finau, because I will not play him there.
He'll still win. And after that's the Florida swing, so it's kind of like your placeholder between the West Coast swing and the Florida swing. It's still golf, so we'll see you next week for Mexico. You'll hear me talking Spanish because there'll be nothing else to do except for talk about Alejandro Tosti and other guys like that. Join us next time.